Well, if nothing changes, it's exactly 544 days to Nigeria's presidential election, and the journey to finding Nigeria's next president has taken its flight. So many names are currently thrown up as potential candidates, and politicking locally and internationally have begun in full swing. Security, economy, and many other challenges have seen Nigerians beginning the conversation for the next president earlier than expected. What should Nigerians look out for in the next president? Who are those that have shown enough character, charisma, quality, and courage to turn Nigeria around? That's the focus today on VSA this beautiful Monday evening. Welcome, I'm Sulaiman. You know, the year 2023 will mark the end of the tenure of Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, who's been in power for almost 8 years. Now, the current administration has its admirers and staunch critics, but the general consensus tilts more towards displeasure from the Nigerian people. The failures and successes of the current administration put in context and serving as yardsticks for what to look out on a progressive scale, Nigerians have started conversations about what they hope to see in their next president. Debates have been going on in political spaces as to who should produce the next president between the North and the South. Possible names from both regions have been suggested, and even the expected age group and limit have become topical issues. Many Nigerians feel it's high time they gave the youth a chance. Some sections of the populace have also suggested a woman may make the difference Nigeria urgently seeks. The opinions are endless and the discussions are in constant motion. Finding Nigeria's next president will take a lot, and this is where it begins. Joining me to look at this is Austyn, Ogannah, his publisher, The Whale newspapers, and Chima Nnaji, a legal practitioner and public affairs analyst. Good to have both of you join me, gentlemen. Quickly, let me start with Austyn with me here in the studios. Austyn, the debates are already on, and the good thing is that you, as a Nigerian, have witnessed and also observed a series of elections in the country. What are those key things that has actually, changed the course of event? Now, we're talking about time wars. No one would say finding Nigeria's next president. All of a sudden, everyone is asking, look, as we move towards 2023, these are the observations, these are the demands, these are what we want. So how did we get here to start with?
Thank you for anchoring this conversation. These are very dark times for us as a people, as a nation. I will say this because we all feel the pressures. The pressures on our societies, the pressures on our pockets, the pressures on everything that we do. The elections are probably, the election or general elections are still about over 500 days away. But we've never, started this conversation seriously at this time before. So these factors are the issues that are driving the conversation, because today the country is, I hate to say, but the country's in a mess. There's insecurity. People are so scared of traveling because they'll probably be kidnapped for a ransom. If you go up north is like a killing field. The Boko Haram crisis has reduced, but you now have herdsmen and what I want to call them criminals. Some people say they are bandits, but they are criminals, turning kidnapping into an industry. And then if you go to the Southeast, you have the same problem. People of the Southeast don't really feel that they belong, to the Nigerian dream anymore, probably because, certain decisions that have been taken, particularly this administration. So the agitations are there. On the south, in the Southwest, the Southwesterners some weeks ago, We're seriously talking about seceding from, the Nigerian project and having an Ududua Republic. So when you have agitations like this before a major election, it's only natural that you begin the conversation early, because the only way you can end all this is to find that right candidate, that helps you deal with all these problems so that the country can remain one, the country can remain peaceful, and there can be economic prosperity, because there's no economic growth or development when there's so much insecurity. So that's why,
it's coming earlier than expected.
Yes, and that's why we're having this conversation now, even if elections are still about 500 days away.
Let me bring in Mr. Nnaji. Good to see you, Mr. Nnaji, and thank you for your time. Always a delight having you weigh in. I recall some years ago, before the last election, before the 2015 election, you sounded, notes of warnings, countless times. You also spoke on how important Nigerians should look towards, fixing the mess. Now, here we are again on a journey leading to another general election. Quickly here, how did we get here? Have things changed, so far since the 2019 election?
Thank you very much, Sulaiman. Nice to be with you, and nice topic also. Actually, this country is what some people would say that you keep doing the same thing all over and expecting a different result. In fact, this country is badly run, and there is a case of egregious folly in governance, incompetence. People who have no business being in government are in government, imposing their will and using violence to keep themselves in power. And so things are falling apart, because a country of this size and complexity requires some intellectual input in the governance process. But we have an all-comers affair where people just come. The interest is how to target the national treasury, loot it dry. But the truth of the matter is that they don't know that if you have the money in your purse and Nigeria is broke, except you are getting out of this country, you feel the heat. So how did we get here? We were sold a dummy. We were told that the general will lead from the front. He even said so. We were told that because he had not been able to win election for almost 4 or 5 times or thereabout, that he has earned a lot of experience and the passion to deliver. All these things are clearly dummies, because insecurity is in the front burner. When there is insecurity, there will be no development, because everybody will be fixated on the issue of survival. You go out for economic activities, you are not sure whether you are going to come home, because kidnappers are on the prowl. If it is not kidnappers, there are some terrorists somewhere, and there seem to be some protective arrangement that don't seem to be addressing the issues, and some of them seem to be mired in kind of sentiments. But call a spade, and those who want to use it will use it effectively. So what is happening is that where you have misgovernance, incompetence, the fallout is that some people will begin to work hard to fend for themselves. The reasonable ones will begin to craft a way to survive. The younger ones who have gone to school with the promise that when they graduate, they will get a job or do things for themselves, they are stranded. And so it is survivor.
Let me come in here quickly. Apologies again, Chima. Let me come in here. Let me bring in Austyn, because you just he's taken us down memory lane. He's told us, you know, back in time before 2015 election, because he was a key, you know, big voice leading up to that election. We heard him, and now he's just also reminded us. Now this has actually brought us to where we are at the moment. Otherwise, it looks like Nigerians will be going back to how it all started. So how can Nigeria and Nigerians change the course of things, since there's another opportunity for Nigerians to redirect and also, if possible, erase some of the mistakes?
You see, yeah, I was listening to Chima talk. Nigeria has been badly run. It didn't start in 2015. It didn't start in 1999. Nigeria has been badly run from day one. You know, it's a country that's so blessed with a lot of human and natural resources. We don't have disasters. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have wildfires. It's a country that's so blessed from beginning to the end. But it's just been mismanaged from day one. So that brings us to where we are today. And that's why, you know, I like to use this analogy because this actually happened to me. In 2014, 2015, you could buy over $1,000 with 200,000 naira. But today, with 200,000 naira, you'll probably be lucky to get $500. And these, you know, things like this, you know, have, you know, made a lot of people poorer, irrespective of how much you had before, except you were saving in dollars. And even if you were even saving in dollars, if you convert it to naira, check the inflation, it still takes you back to, you know, to losses. So these are the reasons why everyone is so interested in who leads us next. And this is why it is important that we get people that know how to lead, people that know how.
And this is why I come in quickly again here. How do we get the people? Because for Nigeria has two big political parties, the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Congress. And if you look at recent developments in these two parties, there have been, you know, there are internal squabbles. And Nigerians are saying, should there be a third force, or should there be an infiltration by some newbies in these two political parties to, you know, cause a change?
You see, you know, it's going to be, well, they call it a third force. You know, I think it's a long shot, except because it's only the rich that can lead the revolution. The rich are those, the elites are those that change the course of history for any nation. It never starts with the poor. So except the elites are unable to come together to agree in the two main political parties, so what this now makes happen is that you have some from the PDP, the two big parties, because that's just it. Some from the PDP, some elites from the PDP, some elites from the APC. They're able to come together to say, let's go this way. That's the only way you would have a third force. If they don't disagree within those two political parties, They just stay in those two parties, have the squabbles, whoever wins, wins, whoever loses, loses, and then they move forward. But Nigerians, right, must show interest because the game has started.
So you're talking about the people?
Yes. Nigerians must show interest in what the PDP and the APC are doing because these are the two dominant political parties. And some of the ways you can do it is to make sure that you either join the political parties or you find ways of putting pressure on the leadership or on the elites that are sympathetic to the cause of the interests of these two political parties. So that pressure helps, put the parties or the leadership of the parties on their toes so that they give us, because everyone is tired, they give us people that can run this country. Because if everybody stands by and says this is now a PDP and an APC problem, what will happen is that the PDP will give you the same sets of politicians that have ruined this country all these years, and APC will give you the same sets of politicians that have ruined this country all these years. And then on election day, you see them on the ballot, and you don't really have a choice because it's now this person or this person. So that's why we must pay attention to the process. Because the process has started now. The Congress are going to start. That's where the process, that's why there's so much fight within the political parties, because they know where this whole process leads to. If your caucus or if your clique doesn't have a firm grip of the party structure at the ward level, up to the local government, to the state, and then at the national level, you're obviously going to lose out in the primaries. So the process is now, and this is when Nigerians must actually start asking themselves if they really want a president, leaders that can manage our resources effectively.
We'll still come back talking about qualities, and now I think we're getting close to qualities. Let me quickly go to Chima and Nnaji. And you've heard Austyn, and some of the key things he tried to touch on, the brouhaha, the squabbles, or the internal wranglings in the two big parties. Nigerians, he also talked about the people. How can the people, help change the course of things? Do you think that there are potential candidates who are, fit enough to go on the ballot outside these two parties?
First and foremost, Sulaiman, Nigerian politics is too dangerous to be left in the hands of charlatans. We have paid so dearly for nonchalance in the political process, in the participation of the Nigerian people, especially the so-called elites in the political process. I couldn't bother, I couldn't care less. That's what brought us here. This issue about governance and the prosperity of this country is the interest of every Nigerian citizen. And so, going forward, Nigerians cannot just sit down and watch political parties toy with the destiny of this country by imposing candidates that know next to nothing about governance or the issues that are on the front burner for the salvation of this country. Those people who are angling for political power are politicians. What we need in the next president is an economic guru, a financial mechanic who will have to first and foremost put back the wrecked engine called Nigeria financially, who understands the nuances of international finance system and how to use it to the advantage of this country. Poverty is at the center of so many things now, and more people will join the poverty range between now to 2023. So we should feel the pain strong enough to be angered and look into political parties and what shenanigans are going on there. If you allow politicians, they go the same way because many of them have absolutely nothing to offer. So then it's just like when you want to have a fight with a tortoise. The tortoise will bring you down to its level so that it can grapple with you. So if you are a giant, you can't fight tortoise bending down. So that's what Nigerian politicians, many Nigerian politicians are unnecessarily egotistic, completely incompetent, with lack of knowledge. They are ignoramuses, and I mean it very seriously. Go down from all levels of governance.
But Mr. Nnaji, let me come in here. If they seem to be what you have just painted, because some people say they are among the smartest people, because ultimately, at the end of the day, they play smart and act smart to the extent that the people sometimes get fooled. So how do we agree that these people don't know anything about what is happening?
When it borders on chicanery, add nothing to progress. Every fool on the street can play smart to get what he wants. Even sometimes if he doesn't get it by peace or trickery, he can go by violence. We are talking about a society that is desirous of an egalitarian leadership, an enlightened, competent, passionate, patriotic citizen that goes beyond the given to discover the hidden and give this country a lease of life. These shenanigans, all this, is my turn, it's other my turn, will lead us nowhere. We have many competent Nigerians in different spheres of life, but because of all those small primordial cleavages, either of religion, ethnicity, or some kind of cliques, they are excluded. This time around, Nigerians must insist. Any political party that thinks that it is going to play the usual game is out of the game itself. Because Nigerians are down there at the nadir of poverty. A poor man fears no fall because it's on ground. So the best thing is for us to sit up, rise, and push out those people who are toying with our destiny. See how Nigerians are dying every day. See how Nigerians are being kidnapped. The future of our children is not given. Schools are closed in different locations. Is that how a country is run? We can't continue this way. There must be a threshold of pain. Our frustration tolerance level is too high. You almost will get to the grave before you begin to feel the pinch. But we need now to organize, mobilize, agitate, and make sure that we put political parties on their toes to do the right thing. Many of them know what is right, but because of selfish interest, that selfish interest, we no longer have the opportunity to provide them the body to feast as maggots.
Well, I think
the important thing now, Sulaiman, is that we need an economic guru. Competence, knowledge is very fundamental. We don't want empty boasts. We don't want people who share money. When you share money, it's the failure of the brain. Those who have brain are the people who have brought development in many other locations. Why is it that we are interested in getting competent people to pilot an airplane if we have a private jet? Why don't we go and get a carpenter or a tailor? Why is it that when they want to go to medicals, they go to the best hospital? Is it their son that is the doctor there? It's people who have worked very hard and the system that has sustained competence that have kept those hospitals there. Now they steal money from Nigeria, go and pay in those hospitals, and leave the rest of us. How long can we play the fool in this country? Enough is enough.
I think Austyn, let me bring you here. Listening to Nnaji reminds us of the last election in Zambia, which I also want Nnaji to pretty much later again see if we can draw from the example of the Zambians. The opposition candidate, who is now the president-elect, has actually given it a shot for about 5 times. So he's on the 6th time, he became lucky. Just as you said, Mr. Nnaji, that Nigerians need an economic guru, financial mechanic, in your words. Austyn, are these some of the qualities you look to Nigeria getting, in the next election?
Yes, absolutely. You see, absolutely. There's this consensus out there, I believe, because in the course of my work as a journalist, I get to speak to people, some of them opinion policymakers, and there's this consensus that moving forward, Nigeria should be led by a technocrat. Nigeria should be led by an economist. Nigeria should be led by someone that knows how to create wealth, someone that knows how to manage resources. That those are the kinds of people that should lead the country at this time. Because like we've all been saying, and Chima repeated, the country has been badly managed. Everyone can feel the pinch. Everyone is struggling. Everyone is trying to survive, and that is the truth. Everyone is trying to survive. So the only way forward is to find that person that can clean up the mess. Because we're in a mess. We're in a big mess. If you talk to economists, they'll tell you that we don't have an economy. We just have something that we're just trying to push day by day. Yes, they will tell you, the country is struggling. Things are so bad, and the only way you can, the only way you can fix the problem and give it a sense, of life again, is to find someone that knows how to solve problems, someone that has solved problems that are similar to this. So you can look at Nigeria, like a company that is, that has the potentials of doing so well, but for some reason had terrible management for a very long time, and that company or that firm gets either sold or just is handed over to another management, and that management comes in, takes a structural look at the firm or the company. Says, we don't need this person, we don't need this is what we need to do to become profitable again. And that's the kind of leader that you need for Nigeria. A president that will come and say, look, I understand the problems, I understand the issues, I understand the problems with the Northeast, I understand the problems in the Southeast, I understand the problems in the South-South, I understand Nigeria's problem.
Former President, military President Ibrahim Babangida has been speaking, and well, he said he thinks that Nigeria should look for a president in his 60s who has a very good understanding of economy and one who has traversed the length and breadth of the country. And I'm quite sure you watched that interview. Do you agree with him?
Yes, President Babangida is talking from a point of experience. When he led Nigeria, he was in his 40s, I believe, or thereabout. When you're young, when you're young and smart, your best times are between when you're say like 28, 30, up to maybe 55 and 60, you're still sharp. But when you cross 60, you begin to tire. That's why in the civil service or in most companies, they tell you that once you're 65, you have to retire because of the toll that everything you've done over the years has taken on you. So we have a president that's in his 50s or even 60s or early 60s. I'm for someone that, by the time you're done with your second term, you're just almost 70, you're just clocking 70. So if you put all this together, you find, look at the people that are doing so well, the innovators in the current world today, the smart geeks. They're all in their 40s, 30s, sub 50. They're all doing well because the world has changed. Some of these people in their 60s today don't even know how to sign into their emails. They don't know the modern ways, of communicating. So the world is different for them today. So we don't need anyone. I know some people will say experience, but there are very young people that are doing so well that are very experienced as well. So I believe that We need to do things differently for Nigeria. We've had politicians, we've given them a chance since independence to do something about Nigeria, and they failed us. The military itself had a chance. I'm sure no military coup will succeed in Nigeria today because we've seen what the military people can do. And what they can do is not create, it's probably, take us back and destroy what we built over time. So we've given the politicians a chance to fix Nigeria for a particular period, and they haven't succeeded. So I think it's time to get someone from the private sector that understands how to create wealth, understands how to manage money, understands how, look, however you look at it, they're still going to steal. They're still going to make money. They're still going to cut deals. But this time around, the kind of deals that will be cut will be deals that will be cut in the interest of Nigeria first.
I think it's a fine place for us to go on this break. When we come back, I'll be starting off with Chima and Nnaji to pick up from where Austyn left off. Both of you have just given us two key attributes of what you expect in the next person, man or woman, who should lead Nigeria in the coming election: an economic guru, financial mechanic, manager of resources, creator of wealth. We'll see if we can add more to these and see if we can actually point to some people, even if we can't actually drop names now. When we come back, join us again. Well, as a home run here on VSA, the unity of Nigeria has come under great test in the last 6 years of this administration, with some Nigerians accusing the president of having ethnic leanings to the north. Now, more than ever, there have been loud calls for secession from both the southeast and the southwest, with the minority groups also frowning at their fate in the current administration. The next president has to be someone who will bring Nigerians together again, so the ripped seams together. Now, it has to be a president who's got to be clear and have a clear impression of the economy, and one who understands the state of the nation in all its meaning. I still have with me Austyn, Ogannah, publisher of The Wheel newspapers, and Chima Nnaji, who is a legal practitioner and public affairs analyst. Now, quickly, let me start off with Chima Nnaji. We've heard all the conversation here, but again, some of the key things people are asking is, what are the qualities in a presidential candidate that can bring Nigerians together and also promote unity?
First and foremost, Sulaiman, why would Nigerians be so happy watching this year program flow intellectually in terms of content and validity, the relevance, and they are not named and incensed by the level of incompetence displayed at the level of governance? Why would somebody be interested in having a good pilot with competencies, but would manage anywhere anything that has to do with governance and misgovernance? The real aspects of their life being defined in a negative way by people who are grossly incompetent and who have no passion for the country. Why would that be? The next president, in addition to being a financial mechanic, like I said, it's not a question of just studying economics and having a PhD. I'm talking about hands-on, understanding the nuances of the international financial system and being able to work it to advantage of this country. The next president, like a general manager, should have forensic mind. There's nobody that knows everything, but he should have the forensic mind to analyze the basic advice given to him by those who know. He should be open enough to absorb information. He should be strong, enjoy good health, based on good character too, and the passion to deliver, such that he will be able to run an all-inclusive governance, rather than all these primordial cleavages to ethnic and religious bents, which are defense mechanisms for complete and gross and grotesque incompetence. We are talking about a president who sees Nigeria as its constituency, who has knowledge, imbued with knowledge, because when you have knowledge, you transcend all those primordial cleavages. You are like an eagle in the firmament, looking at everything from the right objective and putting things in place in such a manner to deliver good governance on welfare, on security, economic development, and the transformation of the entire society. We are talking about somebody who will see Nigerians and show love and compassion to them. A president is not supposed to be too mechanical. If you say you're an idiot, then you use sledgehammer, a bomb on your head. And then you begin to get more insults, because when you take people to a point of no return, you lose respect. Respect is earned, and they say it's reciprocal. Why would the law enforcement agencies, taking a cue from the bad governance, humiliate Nigerians at every turn for no justification? Nigerian life has become a very endangered species. You are running from herdsmen. You run to security agents, they deal with you. You run to the main road, you are not safe. You are not sure that you are coming home. Then young girls have suddenly become endangered species, even in the universities, because everybody is doing anything anyhow. There is no locus of control. This thing is not even on autopilot. This country is not on autopilot. It is in complete disarray. So we need a president who, first and foremost, using his knowledge to galvanize the forces. The truth of the matter, as psychologically, is that the whole is always greater than the summation of its parts. No ethnic group or any cleavages is strong enough to dismember this country. This country is for everybody. So all the ideas of I am the one that is chosen, that we belong to this special class and all that, they all bothered us. At the end of the day, it leads to nowhere. Because when the ship is being wrecked, what you are looking for is somebody who will help you to keep it afloat. You cannot be struggling for a space in a ship that is sinking. Nigerians must take a cue. We must go beyond this type of all this idea of because it's from our area, then we can afford to tolerate. Our frustration tolerance level must be challenged for good to emancipate this country.
Let me bring in Austyn here, because I really can't count the number of times you mentioned Nigerians in your conversation there. It then means, Austyn, what Chima is saying, it comes down to the people. So how can the people start recognizing some of these key traits as highlighted by Chima and Nnaji? Austyn.
You see, it still takes us back to people not really being interested in knowledge. I think over the years, our people, when I mean our people, Nigerians, the average Nigerian, has stopped reading. People don't get to read as much as our parents did in their time. So I think this has affected how we handle issues that we presently have today. So for me, right, I think the first things first is to let people understand that that there's a pathway out of our current problem, and that the electoral system will work this time, because if you have a weak electoral system, the election will not truly reflect the mood of the people. So we need to, and that's why it really pains me that there's really no current, pressure platform like we had with NSAS. This would have been a fantastic time to have used a movement like NSAS, which was a movement that everybody in the country, practically keyed into to get the SARS, the police unit, off the streets. So if we have a pressure group like that, like NSAS, this would have been an opportunity to rally around NSAS and use that same movement, to rally Nigerians, into understanding choosing the kinds of candidates or the kind of leadership that we need. But since we don't have that now, it's going to be tough. I like to be very practical. So I think our only, the easiest way out of it, considering that elections are about just 500 days away, is to put pressure on the elites. Like I said, it's the elites that can lead this change. So put pressure on the elites. Get them to understand that this is what we demand, this is what we want. And I also believe that they too understand that that the country is not where it should be. Because I remember during the NSAS protest, when it really got heated, I knew a couple of them that ran from their houses. They left their homes. They left where everybody knew they lived and went to rent apartments and, practically, hide or stay away from the public until the whole thing died down.
When you say the elites, sorry to cut you here quickly before I go back to Nnaji, but when you say the elites, first you said two key things you raised here. You said Nigerians have lost the reading culture. You say they don't read that much well. So it comes to, not getting cued on history, which is very important here. And secondly, how can the elite be so convinced? I thought that we've always had this story about the people having the power, that the power lies, in the people.
Yeah, you see, it still boils down to the way the country is structured. We don't have a foolproof electoral system. We've tried multiple elections. The closest election that, there are two or three elections in this country that have really reflected the wish of the people. The June 12 election, which MKO won. The election that brought Jonathan into power in 2011. And the election that kicked Jonathan out and brought Buhari in 2015. Those are the elections that you say are like 100%, you know, modeled after the will and wishes of voters. You know, so, having a system like that, sometimes, it's hard to really get what the people want. I believe that it's now left for the elites because they are the ones that run these things. The politicians don't have money for elections. When they finish the whole primary process, it is still the elites, the business people that bring the money for the elections. Politicians don't have money. And then when they get into power, right, the first things they begin to do is to target those contracts because they want to make money and pay back, and pay back some political favors to some of the people that donated to their campaigns, which is what happens everywhere in the world anyway. So we have to bring the elites into, because like a negotiation, we've been held by our balls. We don't have a system that can radically, we don't have a system that we can radically change with our votes because of our voting system. Our voting system does not really give us 100% power to fix the problem. So I think that the strategy should actually target the elites, target them. We know who they are. They are the people that we read about every day. They are the top shot that fly the private jets and make all the big monies. Put them under pressure, talk to them. They know what the problem is. They too are under pressure. And if we're lucky and blessed enough, we can hold them to ransom. We can hold them to a point where they say, guys, look. Nigeria really needs a financial mechanic. Nigeria really needs a wealth creator. Let's look amongst ourselves.
Let me bring in Chima and Nnaji here. Chima, listening to Austyn, I want to, ask if there is a clear-cut difference between a Nigerian politician and an elite. The question that should go to you now, Dr. Nnaji, is how can Nigerians avoid transactional politics, despite the high poverty rate? Because it's almost the business of the day towards every big election in the country.
First and foremost, truth is constant, and it is immaterial demand that spoke it. That is why it appears largely that the points we are making here, myself and Austyn, we seem to be on the same frequency. Because the truth is an objective reality. The mouth that speaks it is a different kettle of fish. So, having said that, the transactional politics that we're talking about, I believe that Nigerians, especially the ones that may always want to rationalize that it is poverty that pushed them to collecting money and voting against their conscience, would have learned a very big lesson in the quality of life they have led for the past 6 years. Let me just put it that way, even though it dates back. But from a...
I think that's a glitch there. I hope, we can actually get that sorted out. Mr. Nnaji will join us as soon as that connection is back. But the thing here, Austyn, quickly, is looking at some of the key things which we've raised here. Before we get Chima and Nnaji back, there's also the call for an Igbo president. It's something that I want us to talk and close on. Is 2023 the time for the Southeast?
Yes, I think 2023 is time for the Southeast if they play the politics right, because you are not just going to sit in the Southeast and say, give me power. No one is going to give you power. You have to play an inclusive politics. It's a game of numbers, excuse me, and a game of interest. So the Southeasterners must open themselves up to, and I believe they have, it's just a few of them that are, on and on about this Biafra thing. But I think majority from the Southeast are ready to to play secular politics, play the politics of appeal, play the politics of let's work together, play the politics of let's do a deal, because that's what politics is all about. Your interest is protected, my interest is protected. So I think the Southeasterners are ready. But for me as well, when I say Southeasterners, I talk about Igbos generally. I talk about the Igbos in Rivers. I talk about the Igbos in Delta, where I'm from. I talk about the Igbos everywhere. And I think we're ready to lead this country.
Let me quickly, sorry to cut you, let me quickly bring in Dr. Nnaji. He's back, and I want him to land on what he's saying before we wrap up the show. Apologies for that glitch. I was almost going to ask her, Chima Nnaji, it's a miracle that we haven't had any glitch in your connection, and it just happened. But let's quickly take this before we leave. You were saying, go back, you can continue now. I think you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Oh, great. I can hear you now.
Very well. That truth is constant and an objective reality. That is why Austyn and myself seem to be headed in the same direction, because the truth must be told. You see, material, the map that speaks it. Now, Sulaiman, you know that in philosophy, the philosopher king is a concept and a practice in those days where leadership training is hammered out using the best materials to manage the rest of the people. Now, what Nigerians are interested in is to answer elder statesman. Elder statesman in Nigeria is a measure of the damage you have done to the system when you had the opportunity to have done the right things. So we gloat that we are elder statesmen. The truth of the matter is that if we have to continue to deliver good governance, we must look for people that have knowledge. Knowledge is so fundamental. Otherwise, we are going nowhere. What happened to the kind of politicians like Zik and Awolowo, who could sit down and discuss the theoretical basis of power and leadership? How many politicians of today can sit down and give you 30 minutes discussion on theoretical knowledge about governance, other than that they want to win there, they want to do that, they want to do this, they want to give keke cycle and all that? That is not life. We are looking at people, a politician who has a high dose of economics, a commander-in-chief that is a general manager that is able to harness all the resources available for him to achieve results in record time. If I need lunch by 12 noon, don't deliver it by 6 p.m. That is not lunch. So timeliness of delivery in good governance, development, transformation of the society. The variables are there. Nigerians are a very competent set of people. We are very patriotic, ready to follow whoever is leading us. But we are no longer following those incompetent, grotesquely incompetent people who hide under ethnic cleavages to perpetrate their incompetence. We are looking at a commander-in-chief that will understand the enormity of the problem. Nobody can envy anybody who is going to come in after this government. But with good knowledge, the right aptitude, and the right attitude, and the right experience, and the openness of mind, and the capacity to reach out in an all-inclusive manner. How come that if the airplane is sky high and there is a woman in labor, who do they start asking for? Don't they ask about the health professional? Do they ask about a tailor or a carpenter on board? Why are we pretending when it comes to things that we should logically follow up in the manner that we are experienced in life?
I think we'll leave it there. That question, yes, it's not a rhetorical question, and I'm hoping that Nigerians and Africans watching should understand that that needs an answer. It's a fine place for us to leave it today. It's a conversation which I hope Austyn and Dr. Nnaji will come back again to continue, because we have about less than 600 days to the next election. So it's a conversation that we'll be having here on News Central, and we're hoping that both of you will always give your time and your input on this conversation. Many thanks for being such nice company, Austyn, Ogannah, publisher, The Wheel newspapers, and Dr. Chima Nnaji. Once again, thank you for your time. Hopefully Nigeria will finally find its wonder and take its place at the top. It, however, begins now. Join the conversation, and of course, don't forget the hashtag finding Nigeria's next president. I'm Sulaiman. See you again.